You've got to do the inner work to ensure that you're operating from a healthy place and not from a place of survival, not from a place of trauma. Time is not always a healer. I know what I'm talking about because I did it. I didn't believe what she was saying was true. But sometimes we need another perspective, okay? Really, we want to be understood. And I think sometimes people shy away from therapy because you want an instant fix. Everybody wants to be understood. Everybody wants someone to get it. And everything that we spoke about, everything that she said, I would notice things throughout the week. We expect healing to be a one-time event. We expect healing to be a one-time event. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Shan, back with another video. If you're new here, welcome. If you're regular here, what's good? I just want to speak to you guys today about what to expect when you go therapy. I've been therapy twice, and I know it's something that a lot of people shy away from. I know a lot of you guys are scared. I know you're watching this like, I ain't going therapy, but maybe you need to. Maybe you need someone to speak to, someone to offload onto. And you know what, right? A lot of people don't see the point in going therapy because they believe that it's not going to solve anything. They believe that what's the point telling somebody else your problems? A lot of people walk around with their issues, walk around with their baggage, walk around with their trauma. And a lot of people haven't ever told anybody the things that they're struggling with. And I know that from experience because when I worked in mental health and men's probation, and listen, I'm trusting that they were telling the truth, okay? But I've had a lot of men let me slow down. I've had a lot of men I worked in men's probation, okay? And when I had to help them with their mental health, depression, anxiety, and all of that, some men would say to me, you're the only person that I've told. This is how it all started. This is what happened. This is how it all begun. And a lot of those men actually said that it was a relief to finally speak about the issues, to finally speak about what's going on, to finally speak about what it is they've been struggling with and what it is that they've been carrying for their entire life. And you watching this right now might be one of those people that have been carrying this heaviness, this stress, this anxiety, this depression, this confusion around with you for your entire life. And yes, I truly believe that first and foremost, we should go to God. We should pray about things. We should seek Him. The Bible says to pray without ceasing, to be anxious for nothing, do not worry about anything. And that basically means that God is saying, put all your trust, give all your issues and all your problems, give it to God. But I also understand the importance of not trying to do things alone, okay? If it has got to the point where you're praying, you're struggling, you don't know which way to turn, there's nothing wrong with going therapy. There's nothing wrong with going counselling. There's nothing wrong with finding a counsellor and a therapist that you can resonate with and that you would like to talk to and open up to about some of the things that you're struggling with. I know, right, that for a lot of people, you have the idea about going therapy. They think about it. It sounds like a good idea. A lot of people believe that they would benefit from it. How do you know this, Shan? Like, how do you know this? Listen, when I worked in men's mental health and probation, I would get the referral, okay? They've said that they want help with depression. They said that they want help with anxiety. They said that they want help with low mood, okay? I call them up. Tyrone. Hi, Tyrone. It's Chantal calling from probation. I've received a referral to say that you would like some support with anxiety and depression. You know what it is, yeah? You know what? Call me back. Can you call me back? But a lot of the men would then become avoidant. Now, there's multiple reasons why that would happen, okay? I noticed it particularly with the black men, but that's a whole different topic. That is a whole different topic. But a lot of people become avoidant when they get closer to the very thing that they need to work on. A lot of people become more avoidant the closer they get to dealing with the issue, the closer they get to that uncomfortable feeling. And let me listen, right? I know what I'm talking about. Because I did it. Listen, the second time I went therapy, right? It was online, okay? It was online. The amount of times, right? Let me calm down because it's the past and I've dealt with it. We're good now. The amount of times, right? And then they shut that laptop down. Listen, the amount of times and then they just went, listen. Let me calm down. I nearly did it. I was that person that, you know what? No. Let me backtrack. I've never had an issue with dealing with the issue. I've never had an issue with confronting the things that have been going on with me. But what did happen for me when I went therapy is it weren't making sense. What the therapist was saying was conflicting because I didn't believe what she was saying was true. I didn't believe what she was saying was true. And I'm like, that ain't me. That ain't me. Like, what you were saying isn't me. I know myself. I'm self-aware. Like, I know me. Yo, so at this point, I'm thinking, nah, I'm not doing this no more. I left the therapy session angry, frustrated. Like, no, like, don't talk about me like that. Like, I know myself. I know me. I know me. And this is the issue that we have, right? We think that we're self-aware. We think that we know ourselves. We think that we've got it all together. And why do we need another person to tell us about us? Right? To tell us about us. But sometimes we need another perspective, okay? Because we live with ourselves. We're with ourselves 24/7. We have to live with our thoughts. And listen, if we've got traumas, if we've got issues, if we've got things that we're struggling with, right? We're looking at everything through that lens, okay? Sometimes we need another perspective, and we need somebody else to hold us accountable and to highlight some of the things that we're blind to. Because a lot of the time we're blind to our own issues, okay? Like, you think you're okay right now. And the thing is, right, you don't have to have experienced anything traumatic for you to go therapy, okay? I believe that as an adult, you've clearly had life experience, okay? You've got life experience. Things have happened. You might have been hurt. You might have been exposed to something. Like, you might have an absent parent. Every adult has experienced some life stresses, some low mood, some anxiety. Every adult has experienced something that has made them who they are today. And it doesn't have to be something that's really traumatic and you would associate as being trauma, okay? But my true belief is it's always good to unpack, okay? And I think a lot of the time, right, for the most part, people don't have a healthy outlet, and we go through life not dealing with our traumas. And you know what? It's difficult, it's uncomfortable, it's scary, but also time is not always a healer. Time is not always a healer. People say, oh, you know what? Give it time. You will get there. It will be okay. You know, stay occupied. You know, nah. I'm saying time is not always a healer, because how many things, right, have you buried? How many things have you just put to the back of your head and you think that you're over it? Okay, but expose yourself to the trigger for a minute. How do you respond or react to that? Okay, but not only that, you don't know, right, if some of the things that you've been through is impacting and affecting the way that you show up today in your friendships, in your relationships, the way you treat yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you interact with your children. You don't know, or maybe you do know, but you're scared to seek out therapy. And I'm saying it's good, it's scary, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, so I nearly shut down the laptop, and I'm like, you know what? Right, this woman's trying to tell me about me, and that ain't me. But you know what would happen, right? Every session I would have with my therapist, it got to a point where I had to say, Shan, listen, see this through. As uncomfortable as it is, as much as sometimes you don't resonate with what she's saying, and sometimes you think that can't be me, see it through, okay? See this through, see it through. And that's my advice to some of you guys that might be wanting to go therapy, have started therapy. See it through. Don't start then stop. The therapist might not be a good fit. That's one thing. But if you just feel uncomfortable, if you don't like it, that's another thing, because it may be uncomfortable. It may come to challenge you. But listen, nothing good happens in comfort zones. You want to be healed, right? You want a better perspective on who you are in the situation. So stick it out. Okay, so I decided to stick it out. Every session that I would have, sometimes it would be hard for me to receive what the therapist was saying or what she was challenging me on. And I would be like, like, don't talk to me like that, right? Then you know what would happen, right? I'd go throughout my week, and everything that we spoke about, everything that she said, I would notice things throughout the week. Things would get highlighted, and I noticed that there's truth in what she's saying. Like, I remember it, and like sometimes I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's true. Like, I am the issue. Like, it is me. I need to change my perspective. Like, it's okay to feel like this. I'll start to notice things. And I think this was the beginning of my healing journey. At this point, you have to be patient with yourself, because sometimes, right, we expect healing to be a one-time event. We expect healing to be a one-time event, and I'm just like, nah. Sometimes, like, I'm like, yo, like, how long is this healing journey? Like, how long am I gonna heal for? But listen, right, be patient with yourself. So look, the therapist would say something throughout the week. I would notice that what she's saying is true. It's as if my eyes became open. I could see more clearly. Like, I could see more clearly what was happening, what was going on, my perception of things, the way that I viewed myself, the way that I viewed other people. I could see more clearly. And that within itself was like a weight lifted off my shoulders, right? Because really, we want to be understood, okay? Like, everybody wants to be understood. Everybody wants someone to get it. And I think sometimes, right, people fear going to therapy because we worry about opening up to somebody and they don't get it, they don't understand it. Also, what you have to be prepared for as well is that you might get a lot of information from the session. You might speak a lot, the therapist might speak a lot, and you might unpack quite a bit. So I think it's always good to have some time before your therapy session where you don't talk to anybody, you just have some quiet time, you just have a time of reflection, and maybe prepare some questions as well. So you know that you're getting everything that you need from the session, okay? And the same goes for after your session. Don't speak to anybody, take some time to reflect on the session. Have some time as well after the session to be quiet, to reflect, to make some notes on what you've taken from it. Don't be quick to jump on the phone and expose yourself to noise, because you need to be taking in what's been said, okay? And also, if you're paying for this, you want to get the most out of your session. So I would advise that before and after your sessions, silence, reflection. And I know for some of you guys that might be difficult because you're used to talking, you're used to always being distracted, because in some cases, people are so distracted, right? They never have to deal with their issues. They never have to face the things that they're struggling with. You don't have to face yourself. But with therapy, you're making a decision that you're ready to face this head on. We're not talking about dipping your toes in. We're talking about you going and you completing it and seeing it through. And for me, overall, going to therapy was mixed emotions, because first and foremost, like, I like to learn about myself. I like human behavior. Like, I studied behavior change. So I find it fascinating being introspective, being reflective, understanding myself more, like digging deep and, just getting to know me as much as I can, right? I love that. I believe that I'm a self-aware person, right? So that's great. I love that. I love to go into therapy for that reason. But also, I have to admit that it was quite challenging. I did feel low in mood a lot of the time. I did start to reflect even more than I already do. And it did have me having more questions, because now I'm like, so what about this? So what about that? So if you're saying this, then what about this? What about that? I felt like I was on a roller coaster, because some sessions were better than others. You might have a therapy session and you might think, you know what, that was good. That was great. I can't wait till next week. But I know next week, right? Might be a madness. You might cry. You might want to just lock off the phone, or you might want to walk out the room. I'm just helping you to prepare. But what I will say, right, is that you're on a journey. You have to be patient with yourself, okay? And after therapy, right, you might still expose yourself to some triggers, okay? Voluntarily, you might still expose yourself to some of the things that you've gone therapy for. You might do and say things or think things, right, that are not supportive of the person that you want to become, that are not supportive of the person that is supposed to be healed, right? Like, listen, I'm just being honest with you guys, but you're human, okay? You're gonna make mistakes. But all I ask, right, is that you be consistent with trying to apply everything that you've learned. You're not going to get it overnight, okay? I need you to be patient with yourself, but be consistent to try and apply everything that you've learned, okay? It's a journey, okay? It's a sprint, not a marathon. I don't want you to go therapy and be like, right, I'm sorted. I'm sorted. It's going to take time for you to digest, for you to understand, for you to apply the things that you've learned, okay? It takes time. And I think sometimes people shy away from therapy because you want an instant fix. A lot of people want to be healed instantly and don't want to have to go through the process. And that's what happened to me. I think it was my second session, first session maybe. And when the therapist said something, I was just like, nah, I ain't doing this. If this is what you're on, I'm not doing this. But it was good because she came to challenge me. Okay, now you don't want a yes therapist. You don't want someone that's just going to agree with everything that you're saying, okay? You want someone that's going to challenge your perspective and the way that you're viewing the situation, because that's where growth comes, right? You don't want someone that's just going to be on your side all the time. Listen, I remember one day I went for a little walk, right? It's supposed to be a peaceful walk, right? And it still was peaceful. Went for a walk. Something came over me, right? And I realised that I was the issue. I realised I was the issue. And you know what's crazy, right? I would love, right, more people to go to therapy and realise they are the issue. Because a lot of the time we project, okay? A lot of the time we project and we think that it's somebody else. We're pointing the finger and we're blaming everybody else, right? On this walk, I remember it like it was yesterday, right? I was out of breath. I was walking by the bus stop. And something just said to me, Shan, you're the issue. I just feel like I had like a revelation, right? And the clouds were open. And it was like, Shan, you're the issue. It's you that's the issue. And I couldn't deny it. Like I had to accept. And this is what happens in therapy. A lot of acceptance, accepting that it happened, accepting that it might not ever be, accepting that this is what it is, accepting that it was the past and it's not the present, accepting that someone wasn't around, accepting that things have gone in the way that you didn't want them to go, but also knowing that there's hope, but also knowing that you don't have to stay in this situation. And I think, you know what, right? I think what therapy is good for is helping to change your perspective on something, okay? If we go back to what I said earlier, a lot of people don't go therapy because they believe it's not going to solve anything. Let's be brutally honest, okay? Some things we can't change. Some things might not ever change, okay? But these things might be bothering you, might be troubling you, might be keeping you up at night, might be stressing you out, might be making you anxious, might be causing you not to eat properly, you might be smoking, drinking, doing all these crazy stuff, right? To cope. But imagine, right, having a different perspective on the very thing that's doing this to you. Imagine having a different perspective on the very thing that's causing you stress, that's causing you to feel triggered, that's causing you sleepless nights. Imagine having a changed perspective on the thing. Like, wouldn't you feel free? You would feel free, you'd feel liberated, because sometimes, right, if the situation can't change, you must change. If the issue can't change, you must change, okay? Because you can't play victim in this for the rest of your life and say, you know what, I'm like this because my dad wasn't around. I'm like this because that person cheated on me. I'm like this because when I was 3, this happened. I'm like this because when I was 14, I had my first heartbreak. Like, that is a victim mentality. And I don't know how long you want to stay in a victim mentality and not live your life to the fullest potential. And this is one of the things that therapy can help you with, is changing your perspective on this very thing. You need it. I would also encourage you that when you do go to therapy, I'm saying when because you're going, right? When you do go to therapy, have a healthy outlet, okay? Maybe start journaling, okay? Buy a notebook, start writing down how you feel, what you've learned from it, what's been going on, okay? Do some voice recordings to yourself, press record and start recording how you feel, your thoughts, your emotions, what you've learned from your therapy session. Just start to offload your thoughts and your feelings, because there's nothing better, right, than looking back, listening back and realizing how much you've grown, how much your perspective and the way that you view things has changed. There's nothing better than realizing that you're no longer suffering, you're no longer triggered the way that you used to be triggered. There's nothing better than realizing that you've grown, than realizing that you're no longer in the same place you was a year ago. Like, you gotta do it. As I said, right, I've been therapy twice and I will continue to go. I'm no longer in therapy, but I will go again. Oh yeah, I will definitely go again. Like, I do believe it's healthy to have a safe space to speak about the things that are concerning you. And not only that as well, right? When you go therapy, it has a positive impact on other areas of your life, okay? You might have better sleep from going therapy. You might smile more. You might have a better relationship with your children, your partner, your husband, your wife. You might start to interact with others from a healthy place, okay? Not a toxic place, not a hurt place, not a damaged place. And look, right? The world's a broken place, okay? But it's full of broken people. It's full of hurt people, okay? And I just truly believe that if we work on ourselves, right? If we do the inner work, you can only gain from doing this, okay? There's nothing to lose from working on yourself. There's nothing to lose from going to therapy. There's nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose. Even if you gained one thing from it, that's worth it, right? If you have a growth mindset, right, you'd be willing to invest your time into this, okay? Listen, we buy clothes, we eat out, we pay for this, we pay for that. We do everything to make sure that externally we're good. We do everything to make sure that our flesh is good, everything that feels good to us. We make sure that we do it. We stay on top of our hair, we stay on top of our nails. But what about your heart? What about those things that are giving you anxiety? Like, listen, right? As I said, put God first, okay? And pray about everything. Do not stress or worry about anything. Ask God to help you with the anxiety. Ask God to help you with the stress. Start to read scriptures about anxiety, okay? Because the Bible says, be anxious for nothing, okay? And that God hasn't given you a spirit of fear, okay? So if you're scared, right, about anything in your life right now, that isn't God. That isn't God, because fear, anxiety, depression isn't from God, okay? God doesn't want you to function from that place. You feel these things, but you overcome these things by faith and the words that you're using towards yourself, okay? And I'm saying right now, right, 2 is better than 1, okay? So if you've been doing this thing on your own, and you've been struggling for a long period of time, now is the time to get help. Now is the time to get support and invest into yourself, okay? You are your biggest investment, okay? You are your biggest investment, and you might be focusing on everything else, but are you dealing with the things that you're scared of? Are you dealing with the things that you're struggling with? I don't know if you are. Maybe you're masking it. But let me ask you something right now, right? Come a little closer. Come a little closer. How's that going for you? You're masking it, you're trying to block it out, okay? You're distracted, highly distracted, highly distracted. You're out the house 24/7. You can't sit still, you can't be with yourself, you can't sit in silence, right? Because the moment you do, everything's in your face, everything's surfaced. And I know this is a little bit heavy, all right? I know it's a little bit heavy, but listen, right? The inner work, you got to do the inner work. If you want to show up as your best self, right? If you want to show up the best way that you can to your friends, to your family, in every situation that you're put in, you've got to do the inner work. You've got to do the inner work to ensure that you're operating from a healthy place and not from a place of survival, not from a place of trauma, hurt, heartbreak, all of that. You don't want to function from that place. And if you do, then maybe this video isn't for you. All the best. All the best, but make sure you subscribe. Anyway, I think, right, have I said everything that I need to cover? Have I said everything that I need to cover about therapy? But if you do have any questions about therapy, if you do have anything that you want to ask me about my experience, leave me some comments below, and yeah, I'll be happy to answer, as long as you don't try and be too nosy. Also, share this video with as many people as possible, because you know, right, that we all be struggling with some things. We all be struggling with some things, and we all need that little kick up the bum to go and deal with the issue, to go deal with the problem. On my fault. I think I spoke too much. Check out some other videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon, right? I will see you soon. Holla.